Hey, this is Alicia Cummings on my joyous journey. I don't know which way to look, but I'm gonna just go ahead and look this way. Here's a quick little story time. I have a family member who is close to me that I grew up with. Excuse me, y'all. Probably need to drink some water. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Quick story time. Nah, what I want to do is just tell y'all that when you have certain family members that you grew up with, you want to keep a close knit relationship with them. When you get become adults, especially later on in life, just to lean on, even though you never got along with this particular family member, um, it was anything that you couldn't do. There was nothing that I could do that would have her or him, I'm not gonna say this, have them to, you know, forgive and let live, quit holding things against me. It's so long ago that I don't even remember what you could possibly be so mad about that we can't come to a common ground and get along for the sake of the family, for the sake of our children and their connection and their closeness, you know, as they get older. We all need somebody to lean on, and who better for us to lean on is our family members, that we grew up with. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you cannot deal. Just take the for instance, the story about Joseph and his brothers, and even his father who favored him the most. Out of all of his siblings, basically saying he had dreams that, basically his family members would bow down to him and things like that. He had dreams, he had visions. He was prophetic, and instead of them they just didn't want to deal with him. They didn't want to ever see him progress and get to they couldn't see it. He really couldn't see it, but it was written how he, you know, became a leader of nations, you know. Um he was the leader of Egypt, going through his uh what his brothers had done to him to get rid of him. They were going to unalive him. But instead one of the brothers told them to just put him in a pit and they would sell him off to slavery. And that's exactly what they did. And that was like a horrible thing to do to your brother, you know? And I couldn't imagine how Joseph was feeling like, why would they do this to me? But it happened for a reason. All things in life happen for a reason, you know. And just dealing with it, the jealousy and envy of his brothers, and you do come up in the household with your enemy sometimes, that no matter how you try, you cannot come. You can get close to this person, but they always pull away because they don't want to be around you. They can't stand you. They're envious and jealous of you, and that's a key thing that you don't ever want to be, in the midst of someone who is extremely jealous of you or envious of you. They could do anything, and we saw that with Joseph's brother, you know. Joseph, I believe he had been sold to slavery. He came across someone that would talk to the king about him being a prophet, and dreaming dreams, and he can interpret dreams, and things like that. And, you know, I have to really read the story again. I don't want to mess anything up, but from my understanding is that when he was let out of prison to go to the king's house, I think it was his name was Potiphar, I think. Um, so he went to go with him, and his wife, the man's wife, was coming on to him, and he didn't want to accept those advances. He said, "Your husband is, the king, and no, like I can't. No, no, you're married. I'm not interested." And she would try every single day, and he would not give in to her until she ripped his clothes, or I think she either ripped his or she ripped her own clothes. I think he was trying to get away from her, and she lied and said that you know that he tried to SA her. Um Typical, because you feel rejection that you're going to do stuff. Like, you see how the spirit of rejection from his brothers, at times his father, you know, um, you know, the lady, not, being able to accept the rejection, put him back in prison. And I think he was in there like another 2 years, and the king, Pharaoh was, needed his dreams interpreted. They introduced him, and he just adored Joseph. And Joseph ended up taking tenure of the kingdom and becoming a king, or stand in king for the land of Egypt, and that put him in a place where he was in charge over that nation. I can't remember if it was many nations, but that nation, in any region that had to come, because there was a famine in the land. So when he had to give out food, wheat and things like that. And his brothers ended up coming there, but they didn't know that was him, and he recognized them, but he stood off, and kind of like got away for them to like either kind of get in trouble for stealing something, but he just had them put it in their wagon, and they ended up reuniting, in a way that he's like, "No, don't worry, I am Joseph, and don't worry about anything, I forgive you." And that's another thing, a power of forgiveness. Everything's wrapped up in this story, and we deal with that sometimes, and within our own family, maybe even our friends, that it just, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot what I was saying about that last part. But yeah, so they ended up reuniting, and when it got his father, because what they told his father that happened to Joseph was that he was, torn to pieces, and attacked by a wild animal. And so they took his many coat of colors that his dad had made for him or had him, and they dipped it in ghost blood and said that he was attacked and mauled by some animal or something. But they're saying he was deceased. But this is the lie they had to tell their father, who adored Joseph. Like, he was his favorite, and I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that in their family, where one of their parents or both, even both, may have had a favorite child, you know. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But yeah, so I'm feeling some sort of way, because I just feel like people just need to go and sit down somewhere and mind their own business. So that's all I could say. I wanted to know where my stuff was at. But I'm not gonna go there to y'all. I'm not gonna go there. All I'm gonna say is that stay close to your family, try to get along, deal with them with a long headed spoon if you need to. You can always go back home if you have a home to go to and just to be by yourself and to spend time with the Lord. That is, something grand. And, I just, give thanks, to the Lord for your good, for he is good and his mercy endure forever. And yeah, y'all. So I'm gonna try to make another video because I messed this one up and I only have that much time on here. But y'all have a blessed night. I love you. Like, share, and subscribe to my video. Not my video. I keep saying my video, my channel. I'm sorry. Subscribe to my channel and have a blessed night. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.